The Doctor is in. Ncuti Gatwa's first full season as the 15th Doctor has arrived, and the man himself has had quite the journey to get here. He experienced homelessness, escaped a genocide in his home country, and battled the Toymaker in his underpants. Throughout his early life and career, he also crossed paths with several Doctor Who alumni, almost like some cosmic force has been drawing him towards the Whoniverse all along. I'm Ellie for Who Culture, and here are 10 things you didn't know about Ncuti Gatwa. Number 10. His first TV role was with an Ood and a Sontaran. In the first episode of the second series of BBC Scotland sitcom Bob's Servant, Bob pioneers a new meat attack burger, which is bought by a young Ncuti Gatwa. Gatwa's first TV role as a future victim of serious food poisoning is particularly interesting because of who he appeared on screen with. He was served his burger by Bob's loyal employee, Frank, played by Jonathan Watson. Watson would go on to don the armour and potato heads of several Sontarans in Doctor Who Series 13, including Commander Skark, who really wanted to ride a horse. Bob's servant himself was played by Brian Cox, who had previously voiced the Ood Elder in The End of Time. A year prior to Gatwa's episode of Bob's Servant, Cox had also played Doctor Who co-creator Sidney Newman in the biopic An Adventure in Space and Time. These connections got even more wibbly-wobbly when, in 2023, Gatwa was edited into An Adventure in Space and Time in place of Matt Smith to commemorate Doctor Who's 60th anniversary. So there you have it, Doctor Who's past and future convening around a burger van just outside Dundee. Number 9. He manifested his Doctor Who role. Based on his first few episodes alone, we can all agree that Ncuti Gatwa is exceptional casting as the Doctor. However, it was almost someone else entirely because he didn't even know they were auditioning. It was only when Gatwa texted his agent to state his interest in playing either Doctor Who or Willy Wonka that he discovered that Russell T Davies and casting director Andy Pryor were actually on the hunt for the 15th Doctor. He prepared for his audition by binging the first RTD era of Doctor Who. Even with all that prep though, he still was unsure if he would win the role, but consoled himself with the chance to network with a major industry figure like Russell T Davies. Of course, he needn't have worried. RTD was so taken by his audition that he had to stop himself offering Gatwa the role on the spot. Still, we'd pay good money to see the alternate timeline where he manifested Willy Wonka instead of Doctor Who. Let's just hope it would have been more blockbuster movie and less low-budget Glasgow experience. Number 8. He experienced homelessness before his big break. It's an incredibly tough life as an actor, especially when you're starting out and waiting for your breakthrough role. For example, Tom Baker worked on a building site to make ends meet before he was cast as the 4th Doctor. Gatwa himself had a difficult road to stardom, and has spoken about his experiences with homelessness prior to being cast as Eric Effiong in Sex Education. Returning to the UK after working in America for a time, he was unable to book roles for 4 months, and eventually chipped away at his modest savings. He had to give up his flat and spent his time sofa surfing at friends' flats, who also sent him money for food. Of the experience, Gatwa said, "Sofa surfing is tough. No matter how nice your friends are, there is a limit. I could see the strain I was putting on them. It felt awful being that guy, using the electric and water but not contributing. When Sex Education came calling, his situation completely changed. However, it's clear that he's fully aware that not everyone is as lucky. A level of awareness and empathy that makes him such a great fit for Doctor Who." Number 7. He went to the same high school as Madame Vastra. Another of Doctor Who's most notable Scottish stars that isn't a doctor is Niamh McIntosh, who played Madame Vastra during the Stephen Moffat era. While it's unknown if she'll return alongside the 15th Doctor, but keep those fingers crossed, people, Gatwa and McIntosh already have something in common. Though they were decades apart, both studied at Boroughmuir High School in Edinburgh. Gatwa studied there until his family moved to Dunfermline, where he was a student until moving to Glasgow. The school has moved locations since Ncuti's time, but Boroughmuir's current headmaster, Mr. Dempster, spoke of his pride at having once taught science to a future Doctor, saying, "I'm not sure that I can take any credit for his ascension to Time Lord status, but I can remember his incredible smile and infectious personality." Given that Bond himself, Sean Connery, turned down a place at Boroughmuir High School, it's no wonder they're so excited to count Ncuti Gatwa among their notable alumni. Number 6. He's not allowed to swear in costume. When he met Millie Gibson at her audition to play Ruby Sunday, Gatwa remembers that he felt they would have been in trouble if they'd been at school together. This turned out to be quite perceptive, as both he and Gibson got a telling off from head teacher Russell T Davies quite early in their time on Doctor Who. In a fairly innocuous behind-the-scenes clip, Ncuti and Millie were filmed walking past their trailers together, and Ncuti introduces Millie as Millie effing Gibson. It's a throwaway off-the-cuff statement, but RTD didn't see it that way, and soon called Ncuti into his office to give him a dressing down for his F-bomb. RTD said that he could say and do whatever he wanted while out of costume, but that he had to be more careful while dressed as the Doctor. Oh, how things have changed from the classic era, when Tom Baker swore at K9 in one of the BBC's annual Christmas tapes. Number 5. He's already won multiple acting awards. Though he's not quite up there with Academy Award winner Peter Capaldi, Ncuti Gatwa has won multiple awards for various stage and screen performances. The annual Newport Beach Film Festival honoured Gatwa and several other breakthrough British stars in 2020 as part of its celebration of UK talent. In that same year, he won a Royal Television Society Award for Best Male Comedy Performance for his work in sex education. Also in 2020, Gatwa won a Scottish BAFTA for Best Actor in Television. He was nominated again in 2022, but lost out to Dougray Scott, known to Doctor Who fans as Alec Palmer in Hyde. However, Gatwa didn't go home empty-handed that night, as Peter Capaldi used his acceptance speech for the Outstanding Contribution to Film and Television Award to give the new Doctor some words of wisdom about the trip of a lifetime. With all of time and space to explore and scripts by Russell T Davies, it wouldn't be a surprise if Gatwa has to expand his trophy cabinet for the foreseeable future. Number 4. He's the second Doctor to work with Ryan Gosling. Everyone knows that Ncuti Gatwa starred alongside Ryan Gosling in Barbie. We've all seen the image of Gosling wearing a fan-made 15th Doctor t-shirt, and we all saw them bring the house down at this year's Oscars. However, Gatwa isn't the first Doctor to cross paths with the La La Land star. In 2013, 11th Doctor Matt Smith was cast in Lost River, Gosling's flawed yet fascinating directorial debut. Smith played Bully, a deranged criminal who's not above a bit of grandstanding. To play Bully, Smith had to shave his head, which is why he's wearing a wig throughout his final Doctor Who episode. Gosling has revealed that the Hello Stonehenge speech in the Pandorica Opens was his inspiration for casting Smith in the movie, which he caught a bit of when the episode was on TV. All of which is why, when Gatwa told Gosling he was going to be the Doctor, Gosling replied with, "Doctor Who is the coolest show in the world, man." Interestingly, rumours emerged last year that Gosling will be appearing alongside Gatwa in Doctor Who. I mean, stranger things have happened. Number 3. He's a Doctor of many firsts. Ncuti Gatwa's casting as the Doctor is incredibly progressive and groundbreaking for several reasons. He's the first black male actor to play the Doctor in its 60-year history, marking a huge step forward for the Whoniverse. Born in Rwanda in 1992, Gatwa is also the first actor to play the Doctor who wasn't born in the UK. When he was just 2 years old, his family left Rwanda, fleeing the genocide against the Tutsi and arriving in Scotland. Predominantly raised and educated in Scotland, Gatwa now joins the ranks of the great Scottish Doctors, Sylvester McCoy, David Tennant twice, and Peter Capaldi. In another huge step forward for Doctor Who, Gatwa is also the first openly queer actor to play the Doctor. In an interview with Elle back in 2023, Gatwa movingly talked about the importance of representation, and affectingly described his interaction with a queer Rwandan woman at Manchester Pride. Those charged looks between the 15th Doctor and Jonathan Groff's mysterious rogue could indicate that this will be part of the Doctor's identity too, boldly reinventing the character for modern viewers. Number 2. He's a big fan of the Third Doctor. Gatwa has been brushing up on his predecessors ahead of Doctor Who Season 1, and he found a surprising kindred spirit in the form of Jon Pertwee. Speaking about his love for the suave Third Doctor in a chat with Rolling Stone, he said, "I love Jon Pertwee, the Third Doctor's outfits. Lovely velvet jackets and frilly shirts. I feel a connection to him. Our Doctors are the only two who dress like sluts." I mean, it's a hilarious comparison, but it's also interesting to look at the links between the 3rd and 15th Doctor eras. Pertwee had a different different jacket and shirt practically every serial, while Gatwa will have a different costume in seemingly every episode. Pertwee's Doctor was also teamed up with UNIT, led by Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart, while Gatwa's Doctor will be working alongside a unit led by Kate Stewart. The flamboyant charisma of the real-life Jon Pertwee and the real-life Ncuti Gatwa is also something that links both Doctors across the decades. And then, one final brilliant comparison between Pertwee and Gatwa, courtesy of Ncuti himself in the Radio Times, is, quote, "I do love a bit of Pertwee, he's always got his cha-chas out. Quite what that means, I don't think I want to know." Number 1. He's an actual Doctor. Sort of. Not only does he play the Doctor on screen, but Ncuti Gatwa is also something of a Doctor in real life too. In 2022, Gatwa was presented with an honorary doctorate by the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, the school at which he had studied acting. This made him not only our newest Time Lord, but also a Doctor of Drama. Located in Glasgow, the Royal Conservatoire is now a Doctor Who hitmaker. A chap you might have heard of called David Tennant also studied there in his youth, meaning that this one school is responsible for the current era of Doctor Who we find ourselves in. Not too shabby, really. Meanwhile, the Glasgow School of Art, where Peter Capaldi studied, is also only a short walk away from the Royal Conservatoire. Let's all thank the centre of Glasgow for being an incredibly important location in the history of Doctor Who. And that concludes this list, but for more stories about our Doctors, why not check out how every Doctor Who got cast. In the meantime, I've been Ellie for Who Culture, and in the words of Riversong herself, goodbye, sweeties.